Disney Plus made a very different return to the Marvel Cinematic Universe only 2 weeks after the WandaVision finale concluded back in 2021. The program begins with Sam Wilson, Anthony Mackie making the emotional choice to give Captain America's shield to the Smithsonian Institution. It is set only a few months after the events of Avengers Endgame.
Nothing yet, but I'll keep track. Need to call some people.
Peut-être qu'on les tripe tout de suite.
Sam?
After putting on a costume, Sam, played by Anthony Mackie, puts the Captain America shield in a bag. In Avengers Endgame, we hear his final exchange with Steve Rogers, played by Chris Evans. Sam receives orders for a mission while in flight, but he needs to be discreet once he contacts Torres Danny Ramirez on the ground. An aircraft that has been taken over by French-speaking men is his goal. They have a captive inside the military aircraft. Sam uses his toy Red Wing to help him unlock a plane door as part of his backup plan, which enables him to fly in and battle the hijackers. Colonel Vassant Miles Brew, their captive, is taken by paragliding. It helps that Sam's wings are bulletproof. A handful of helicopters shoot at Sam as they pursue. My new favorite toy is going to be Red Wing. The hijackers know Sam won't be able to cross across because they are near the Libyan border and airspace. When Sam is outnumbered, Torres and his men on ground watch let him know that they must retreat and find another route. But Sam manages to safely get Captain Vassant by rerouting the rockets. Torres encourages him. Sam tries to fix Red Wing as Torres and Sam eat and drink in Tunisia. Torres tells Sam about the Flag Smashers, a group of people who believe that living in a blimp is a fantastic way to live. Sam requests that Torres keep him informed about them. Torres brings up conspiracy ideas about Steve Rogers, such as the idea that he is on a covert moon base. Sam speaks at the Smithsonian on Steve Rogers' legacy and the need for new heroes when he is in Washington, D.C. Additionally, he thanks Steve for the shield and hands it over to the museum. During the speech, Roddy Don Chiaro invites Sam to go for a stroll and chat with him afterwards. Sam is asked by Roddy why he did not accept the mantle.
Babies, I come back and they're literally all right.
It's a different time, Sam.
The first words I said were,
Well, nobody fix it.
According to Sam, he believes Steve still owns it. Considering that they are in the museum's Captain America exhibit, it is quite oppressive. Months after humans returned from the blip, Roddy informs him that things have changed and that they are currently in need of a hero. He pledges to stay in contact with Sam. After killing a few suit-clad guys and shouting Hail Hydra, Bucky Sebastian Stan, dressed as a Winter Soldier, arrives at the hotel and murders a man who was there to watch it all. The gunshot awakens him. When asked if he still experiences nightmares during his treatment sessions with Dr. Raina Ami Aquino, Bucky responds that he does not. Dr. Raina notes that the government must ascertain if he would ever lose his temper and commit murder again, and that the therapy is a component of the pardon. In the end, Bucky tells her that he marked out a name on his list of apologies that falls under one of the 3 guidelines he was given. After Hydra disintegrated, Senator Atwood, played by Rebecca Lyons, continued to abuse her position of authority as a Hydra puppet. In order to listen in, Bucky puts a bag on her automobile. The first condition is that Bucky cannot do anything unlawful. The second is that no one can be harmed. And the third is to grin and declare, I am James Bucky Baines, and you are part of my efforts to make amends. I am no longer the Winter Soldier. Bucky disobeyed the rules even though he partially engaged in each of these activities. Nevertheless, Senator Atwood was captured by the appropriate authorities without suffering any injuries. His funny smile is frightening. Bucky continues to deny experiencing nightmares. He claims to trust people, as Dr. Raina emphasizes, but she points out that he has just spoken to her in the last week, doesn't have 10 contacts on his phone, and disregards Sam's messages. Bucky notes that this is new to him because He has been fighting non-stop for 90 years, and the only time he has ever been at peace was in Wakanda. When he stops fighting, Dr. Rayner asks him what he wants, but he doesn't think he wants peace, so he tells him he is free. Bucky wonders what he has the freedom to do. Bucky discovers Mr. Yori Nakajima reprimanding a neighbor for disposing of their trash in his trash while strolling through Brooklyn. Bucky puts an end to Yori's battle. When Yori arranges for Bucky to go on a date with a waitress the following evening, the two men have lunch together. While eyeing Moshi, Yori pauses to tell Bucky that his kid was killed overseas, although the authorities claim he was in the wrong location at the wrong time. Yori never believed that to be true. I can tell Bucky has a plan based on his expression on his face. Sam travels to De La Croix, Louisiana to see his sister, Sarah Adipero Oduye, and his nephews. The two quarrel over selling the yacht on which they were raised. When Sam convinces her to let him arrange a meeting with the bank so he may obtain a better loan agreement, Sarah agrees to sell the boat and business, even though she first refuses to accept any financial or other assistance from Sam. After bringing flowers for his date, Bucky settles down while she completes cleaning the eatery. She finds it hard to believe that he confesses to attempting internet dating and being 106. The two play battleship, converse, and drink. She talks about Yori, and losing a kid is the worst thing that can happen. After saying this, Bucky leaves his date and arrives at Mr. Yori's door. He offers Yori money for lunch instead of expressing his thoughts, and then he looks over his list of reparations. One of the names in the list is Nakajima. It must be difficult. Sam tells his sister everything he has in mind for the family company while they prepare lunch for a meeting at the bank. In Switzerland, Torres goes incognito to a party hosted by the Flag Smashers. After the group is handed masks and told to escape, two bags are tossed out of the window from the Gasel Bank, and a man leaps out before idly passing the bags to other people. Torres pursues and tries to apprehend the man, but the man is too strong and throws Torres to the ground, probably fracturing several bones before hitting him quickly in the head. Torres was left in the street unconscious. After the loan officer, Vince Pisani, identifies Sam as Falcon, the initial meeting with the bank is enjoyable. But when the subject of money comes up, Sarah reminds out that Sam cannot have any money because he has been absent for 5 years. Since millions of people returned, things have tightened up, the loan officer says. The two are denied a loan despite his government contracts and their family's financial background.
Monitoring them online.
We just gotta keep our eyes and ears to the ground so he could be a.
Look, I'll circle back to you.
We love heroes who put their lives to inspire us again. United States of America.
Sarah says she doesn't want to cope with this much longer outside. Sam was not present to see their parents' ordeal, and the bank is unaware of their father's identity. Despite the difficulties she faced during the blip, Sarah managed to leave and prevent the boat from sinking. Sam refuses to sell their family's inheritance even though he knows she is correct. Sam gets back aboard the boat and makes an unsuccessful attempt to repair the engine. He is browsing through family photos when Torres texts him to say he will send something. After watching the footage, Sam phones Torres to discuss what transpired. Sarah enters the room shortly after it switches on the TV, which announces the President and Department of Defense have named a new Captain America, Yat Ruzel. With his shield in hand, a guy in a different costume emerges into the crowd. Sam was wronged by them. We see how Sam and Bucky are managing things months after the hiccup. Sam is working as hard as he can and supporting his sister Sarah in the family company. But 5 years away does have a negative impact on everyone. In addition to lacking the wealth of an Avenger, he may be as famous as one. As he gets ready for a performance, John Walker Yat Ruzel, also known as New Carp, surveys his old high school locker room. His wife, Olivia Walker Gabrielle Bainlos, interrupts him to inquire whether he is anxious about his new role. John claims that he doesn't want to let people down since he is aware that the outfit carries expectations. After she goes, John rehearses his lines. His buddy, Lema Hoskin Clay Benet, then enters to encourage him, telling him that he believes John can handle the demands of the litigation. John takes selfies, signs action figures, and gives the drumline major a high five outside the field before going on stage to be shot for Good Morning America.
Waving in the wind.
And how's the May? John Walker, every measurable category, speed.
Something Captain America, an Avenger. I like. Feels like a brother.
Seems like a good guy.
According to the interview, John Walker was chosen by the administration because of his exceptional combat experience and his bodily tests, which were off the charts. Although John lacks Banner's superpowers, he claims to have Steve Rogers' courage and to have based his lifestyle after his. John views Steve like a brother, despite the fact that he has never met him. Bucky most definitely didn't like hearing and seeing this. To get ready for a journey to Munich, Sam meets up with Torres, but to his surprise, Bucky is angry that Sam handed up the shield. Bucky is aware that Steve would have objected to the shield being relinquished. Sam tells Bucky that although he regrets the incident and says there is little he can do about it, he must deal with the Flag Smashers' commander, who may be in Munich at the moment. After exchanging arguments concerning Sam's motivation for leaving, Bucky finally says he will accompany Sam. The two stare at each other on the plane till Sam has 1 minute left before he gets dropped off. When Bucky inquires about the plan, Sam leaves without telling him. Bucky leaps out without finding a chute and lands on his ass. Fortunately for Sam, Red Wing records everything and helps guide Bucky to Sam's location. Bucky wants to take them on, but Sam wants to see where they are headed. The two argue on what the plan should be with regard to the people. The boys believe there is a hostage when Red Wing notices someone inside one of the vehicles. The two men, Sam in the air and Bucky on his leg, follow the vehicle as they pull off. Bucky is shocked to see that the prisoner is a young woman with extraordinary strength after he climbs into the truck. Red Wing is destroyed during a brawl on top of the trucks, and John and Lemar, who is also wearing a suit, join the two guys. John was really brave to present himself to Sam as Captain America. The four men are still engaged in combat with the extremely powerful individuals.
Bucky, talk to me. What's going on?
After concluding that all of the masked individuals were super soldiers, Sam and Bucky are ultimately confused and John must rescue Lemar from the man's grasp. Though he isn't ready to be punched off the vehicle, John confronts the young woman. John interrupts Sam and Bucky while they are strolling to pick them up, but they choose not to board the ride. Bucky informs John that he will never be Captain America despite John's attempt to persuade the two men to cooperate. After a while, the two board the ride and talk to John and Lemar about the Flag Smashers. Given that Red Wing is government property and John is essentially the government, John and Lemar tell Sam that they followed Sam through Red Wing. Red Wing was lucky to get shattered. Sam finds it concerning that John and Lemar are oblivious to the fact that not everyone is receiving the resources. Even though the Global Repatriation Council is an organization that aids individuals who returned from the blip, John wants everyone to work together, but Bucky quickly breaks it up. Lemar notes that they assisted the two guys, but when he reveals that he is Battlestar, John's partner, that justification is eliminated. Angry, Bucky orders them to hold the vehicle and exit. John tells Sam that he understands Bucky's mindset and that his goal is to be the greatest Captain America he can be, not to take Steve's position. He could accomplish that more easily if he had Cap's wingman on his side. After that statement, Sam jumps off the bike and follows Bucky. Erin Kellyman plays the tough young lady Kali Morgenthau, who arrives at a Flag Smashers hideaway with her team. Electronics, food, and beddings are provided for Kali and her team. Threatening SMS regarding what she took are sent to Kali. Disregarding them, she informs her crew that the GRC is more concerned with those who returned from the blip than with those who remained. This motivates people to be ready for the next task. Bucky says that they should take the shield and deal with things on their own while they are relaxing in an airplane. But Sam reminds him that the last time he and Steve attempted to do so, they were on the run for 2 years. Not wanting to experience it again, he notes that they had no intelligence on the super troops and were unable to defeat them. Sam has to meet someone, Bucky tells him. When the two travel to Baltimore, Bucky presents Sam with Isaiah, Carl Lumley, a battle hero who frightened Hydra. Sam is informed by Isaiah that he was dumped by Goyang by the government in order to eliminate the Winter Soldier. He just allowed Bucky inside his home to see if Bucky had recovered his arm or if Bucky was there to murder him. Even though Bucky claims he isn't a killer, Isaiah no longer believes that he is. Isaiah needs to understand how this is happening since Bucky informs him that there are more people like them in the world. Isaiah becomes enraged by this, and we witness his superhuman strength as he throws something against the wall. Isaiah wasn't left alone as Bucky was. When he returned to the United States, he was placed in a 30-year detention cell subjected to tests and had his blood drawn, and Hydra followed suit. Following this proclamation, Isaiah expels the two from his home. Outside, Sam is understandably incensed that nobody bothered to tell Steve and everyone else that there was a black super soldier. The cops interrupt their quarrel. After Sam's teammate reveals that he is an Avenger, one police officer falsely accuses him of disturbing Bucky and demands to see his identity. Another police car pulls up and others observe the entire event. Bucky tells Sam in a whisper that Isaiah has endured enough and so he didn't tell anybody else. Because Bucky skipped his court-mandated treatment session, the officer informs him that he is under arrest. At the station, Sam runs into John and meets Dr. Rayner. Bucky is too valuable an asset, so John had him discharged. Additionally, he tells Sam and Dr. Rayner that he has unresolved business with both Bucky and Sam, and that he has the power to alter Bucky's rehabilitation plan. While Dr. Rayner has the two guys in a session, he waits for them outside. When Dr. Rayner asks Sam and Bucky the miraculous question at the beginning of their couple's workout, it instantly backfires. Given how much he looks at people, Bucky feels comfortable with the next practice, soul gazing. They face each other and are told to approach. They begin a staring contest until Dr. Rayner intervenes, but they let go really near and gaze into each other's eyes. She queries Bucky on why Sam irritates him. Sam is asked by Bucky why he relinquished the shield. According to Bucky, Steve trusted and believed in Sam. The shield represented all Steve stood for, and if Steve is mistaken about Sam, then Steve is also mistaken about him. Sam questions Bucky's ability to accept that he acted in accordance with his moral conviction. He informs Dr. Rayner that the two of them have more pressing issues than this session and devises a solution. Sam will have them resolve the issue before they part ways and never speak to one another again. He walks away when Dr. Rayner asks Bucky why he is wearing that expression. Bucky responds by asking her what rule number 2 is. It says never to injure anyone. She reminded him. Lemar and John are waiting for the two outside. They let Sam and Bucky know about Carly, the people assisting her in her travels around Europe and their efforts to find her. John is shocked by the animosity he receives from Bucky when he is asked if he knows where Carly is. Sam intervenes, saying that while John is correct that they must locate Carly and her team, it would be counterproductive for them to collaborate with John, as Sam and Bucky are free agents and John and Lemar have rules of engagement and authorizations to follow. John tells them to avoid him since he doesn't like this. Carly is told that the Power Breaker's men have located her and her team as they are loading a plane. As one of her soldiers repel the approaching attackers before being shot down by gunfire, they scramble to load the crates into the aircraft. She escapes with the others. Bucky and Sam discuss a lead strategy. Bucky notes that Isaiah mentioned Hydra and that Helmut Zemo, Daniel Bro, is the only other individual who is aware of Hydra's secret. Initially reluctant, Sam yields to Bucky as they are seated in a room with Zemo. As you recall, in Captain America Civil War, Zemo was the one who put Bucky up as the murderer of King T'Chaka. Steve and Bucky tracked him to Siberia, where he murdered at least several of Hydra's super warriors while they were sleeping. Bucky wants to talk to the man of Chaos because it discusses non-consensual experimentation on black individuals and the reception of black war heroes Upon their return to the United States, Isaiah's account is more difficult to accept. Even if there are no super troops, we have heard of black guys who endured years of imprisonment and testing. The idea that Isaiah returned home only to be viewed as a danger because of his superpowers and skin tone is not entirely unrealistic. He was the kind of individual the government did not want to be free. I'll be thinking about that all day. It's evident that Bucky and Sam don't get along. As an Avenger, Sam is doing his best to serve the world, but he is still viewed as Captain America's wingman and another black man. Despite having the Avenger title, he is not eligible for all the benefits. Steve gave Sam the title of New Cap, which should have remained with him, but now he has to deal with John Walker in his face. He wasn't prepared for the shield to be passed to a stranger, and now Bucky is also reminding him of his era. For him, there must be a lot. As the new Cap with the shield designed for Steve and Hydra's Winter Soldier, Bucky is dealing with his PTSD. Recall that Bucky has been saved by Steve several times during his life and is aware of his values. He finds it difficult to witness the shield being used for another objectives that are incompatible with Steve's comfort level. He asks whether he is the person Steve believes he is and whether Steve chose the wrong person to have the shield because it was given up too quickly. These two will undoubtedly have to go through an emotional journey that will have an equal impact to the physical one. I want them to be friends in the end, but I'll enjoy the arguments along the way. The fact that John Walker really spoke to Steve as a brother, introduced himself to Sam and Bucky as Captain America, and has a black sidekick named Battlestar doesn't sit well with me. Let's recreate what Steve heard. They actually stated. The only distinction is that they failed to take into account the fact that Steve viewed Sam as more than simply his wingman. He was a buddy and deserving of the moniker of Captain America. Everyone's attitude on the new Cap would undoubtedly improve if Sam were on his team. But as we all know, Sam is too talented to be on that squad. Sam was more than worthy of the promotion, but the administration chose someone with whom it was more at ease. They have far more power over these two than they ever had over Sam and Steve, and they will never have over Sam and Bucky. Zemo, Daniel Brühl, was playing chess in a Berlin prison at the close of second episode of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and he seemed to be hatching a grand scheme. This raised some hopes for the third episode, but what really happens is a couple of unexpected story twists. Power Broker, the third episode of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, adds a few story surprises along with more well-known characters and events. It opens with a vibrant advertisement for Global Repatriation Council (GRC), the group responsible for rebuilding and repairing the planet following the blip. Although this is a little odd, I believe it is the simplest approach to establish the organization because episode 2 did not make clear what its purpose was. Following the advertisement, a black GRC van arrives, revealing the new Captain America, Yat Roselle, and a few police officers prepared to attack the warehouse that Kali Morgenthau, Erin Kellyman, and her men utilized as a hiding place in Munich.
For most of your imprisonment. And you
Talking about you want to break Zemo out of jail. No offense. Ford, did you forget that? You think the Wakandans?
Hypothetical. Can I walk you through a hypothetical? And if two prisoners.
When a guy claims that Americans have turned into brutes, the Flag Smashers loyalists who were detained during the raid refused to assist the new Captain America. The Winter Soldier, played by Sebastian Stan, and Falcon, played by Anthony Mackie, reach the jail in Berlin where Zemo is being held. Since Zemo is not an Avenger fan, the Winter Soldier persuades Falcon to allow him to visit Zemo alone. Falcon hesitates at first but then gives in. Given that this is the first time the Winter Soldier has met Zemo since his mind was reprogrammed, the sequence that follows is quite intriguing. Meeting Zemo forces the Winter Soldier to confront his troubled history, which he has been avoiding. Zemo tries to employ the ancient phrases to test whether they work when he sees the Winter Soldier. Zemo, being astute, understands that the Winter Soldier must have been anxious to discover answers because he came to him after the Winter Soldier informed him that someone had successfully replicated the Super Soldier Serum. In the following scene, Falcon and the Winter Soldier approach Pitch Black Warehouse as the Winter Soldier tells Falcon about his chat with Zemo and implies that they should free Zemo. Falcon is incensed and reminds the Winter Soldier of all the wrongdoings Zemo has perpetrated, including the murder of Wakandan King T'Chaka, John Carney. The Winter Soldier runs a fictitious jailbreak plot by Falcon and requests that Falcon remain composed. Falcon was not aware that Zemo had gained his freedom and that the plan had already been put into action. The Winter Soldier, Zemo, and Falcon emerge on a tarmac with an aircraft waiting for them, bound for Madripoor, a fictitious island country following the jailbreak. Zemo says that he is wealthy and could buy the jet because he was Scovian nobility, surprising the Vibranium brothers with his degree of riches. We are introduced to Kali as she walks to see a woman, perhaps her mother, who is lying on her deathbed in Riga, Latvia, after a quick cut. Kali steers softly while holding the woman's hand. Falcon is supposed to portray the smiling tiger, a criminal in Madripoor. The Winter Soldier is likewise supposed to channel his former self and submit to Zemo's orders, and Zemo is Zemo. After that, the three of them make an attempt to meet Selby, Imelda Golcoran, in a pub. The Winter Soldier fights like a lethal assassin once more and beats up a few men at the bar in order to get that meeting.
Thank you.
You should sing away in a German prison. Smiling tiger.
Along with the
Yeah, you're all right to come to me. Condemn. Depending on what the bakery's going to cost you.
Falcon's anxious expression was visible. When the three of them finally meet Selby, Zemo tries to negotiate by offering the Winter Soldier in return for information on where to get the Super Soldier Serum. Selby starts off by sharing some details about the man in charge of making the serum, again, Dr. Wilfred Nagel, Ollie Haskavy. However, when Falcon's phone calls during the meeting, things start to go south. He attempts to turn things around, but his cover is exposed.
Drop it, Zemo.
So what are you doing here?
I stole Steven's. I don't speak to my family anymore.
When an unknown attacker kills Selby and the three are accused of the crime, things finally take a turn for the worst. Zemo, the Winter Soldier, and Falcon briefly traverse Madripoor's low town in an attempt to flee the crime scene. Since several bounty hunters are pursuing their lives, gunshots begin to fly once 1,000 Bitcoin bounty offer is posted on their heads. Fortunately for the Winter Soldier and Falcon, Sharon, Emily Van Cup, seems to be their guardian angel. She informs Falcon how betrayed she feels after saving their ass because she has been evading capture ever since she assisted Captain America in stealing the shield. Falcon begs her to get her name cleared so she may go back home, and they come to an agreement. Sharon sells stolen paintings and has embraced life's business. She intends to utilize the auction party she is hosting later that evening to learn more about Dr. Nagel in order to assist the three. Zemo, the Winter Soldier, Falcon, and Sharon visit the pier after obtaining the required information. Nestled among the crates is a small laboratory where Nagel is located. During questioning, Nagel discloses how he was blipped, how the power broker provided funding for his study, and how the CIA hired him to work on certain blood samples, certainly Isaiah's.
Typical of overpopulation and
Now what?
I'm clearing the way! I came out first!
According to Nagel, Kali sought his assistance to save a lady named Doña Madani, and she took the 20 doses of serum he made. Sharon, who waited outside, has been involved in some action throughout the interview, murdering and fending off bounty hunters. She then enters the lab to alert the three of them to the danger that lies ahead, and while they are preoccupied, Zemo grabs a revolver and murders Nigel. A bounty hunter blows up the laboratory while the others are attempting to comprehend what has transpired. The others remain in the exploding lab as Zemo flees. The Winter Soldier, Falcon, and Sharon also escape before the lab blows up completely. Bullets begin flying as the lab explodes once more. Eventually, the Winter Soldier, Falcon, and Sharon are shot out and trapped to a location. Then, wearing his mask, Zemo emerges on top of a container, causes a larger explosion, and rescues the men who are stuck underneath. As it happens, Zemo comes out to the rescue. Returning to Kali, she is currently scouting the GRC supply warehouse that they want to breach into in Vilnius, Lithuania. She remembers her earlier years and her desire to become a teacher. By referring to her as Mama Donya, she further affirms that Donya Maldini was her mother. Knowing that Nigel is dead, Kali concludes that a relationship with the power broker is inevitable because they hold the final battle of Super Soldier Serum. In the following scene, Zemo's breakout from the Berlin jail is being investigated by the new Captain America and his buddy Lima, Clay Brené. The Winter Soldier and Falcon are undoubtedly responsible for Zemo's escape, according to the new Captain America. In order to get an advantage over their rivals, the new Cap also chooses to begin doing business off the books. The Flag Smashers return to Vilnius, Lithuania, and raid the GRC depot, stealing enough food for 6 months. Finally becoming her villainous persona, Kali destroys the GRC building, murdering all the defenseless bystanders they had imprisoned within. On Zemo's private jet, however, Falcon, the Winter Soldier, and Zemo are able to trace Donya Madani, or rather her corpse, to Ruga, bringing them one step closer to Kali. After being redirected, the aircraft departs for Ruga. As the three of them arrive in Ruga, they are strolling around the city when the Winter Soldier excuses himself, stating that he has to take a walk. The Winter Soldier picks up a Kimoyo bead and searches for more when Zemo and Falcon disappear, eventually arriving at Wakanda's Ayo, Florence Kasumba. The Winter Soldier is in shock to see her because he knew that Wakanda will soon pursue Zemo for the murder of King Shaka. The first episode focused on the activities of our titular characters in the post-blip world. The new Captain America, John Walker, was the subject of the second episode. By visiting Baron Zemo and Sharon Carter, the third episode was an homage to Captain America Civil War. Ayo utters the words that activate the Winter Soldier 6 years ago in Wakanda while Bucky and her are alone in a cave. Remembering what he done, Bucky fights it with tears in his eyes. Ayo declares himself free with pride when he doesn't change. In Riga, Ayo confronts Bucky over releasing Zemo and reminding him of everything she and Shuri accomplished for him. She also claims that Bucky is not particularly aware of the Wakandans' laws. In Wakandan, Bucky replies that Zemo is only a tool. White Wolf is 8 hours from Ayo. The Wakandans have come, Bucky tells Zemo and Sam. Zemo is appreciative of Bucky's defense, but after he shot Dr. Nigel, Sam tells him that no one is standing up for him. When Bucky learns that Kali attacked a GRC supply warehouse, she makes a list of demands and threatens to carry out further assault if they aren't fulfilled. Sam claims that Kali is a child.
I was a kid, my aunt passed away.
Job for 1 week. After violence has also brought attention.
Shame what's become of the look around upstairs.
No.
And what's your favorite color?
But Zemo asserts that he has the drive to complete the task at hand. Sam is seeing something in her that isn't there, Zemo notes. Anyone on the serum will follow Kali's path since she is a supremacist and her drive to become superhuman is inextricably linked to supremacist beliefs. She will not stop until she is dead or she kills them. Steve Rogers was never corrupted by the serum, as Bucky notes. There has never been another Steve Rogers, Zemo retorts. Bucky advises that they turn Zemo over right away. Sam tells the men that the neighborhood came together for a week-long celebration to commemorate his deity when he lost her, and perhaps Kali and her folks will follow suit. Zemo claims that Sam's deity would be pleased with Bucky, who is open to giving it a try. News footage of the horrific bombing at the GRC depot is shown to Kali and the Flag Smashers. They appear disturbed by the news. When the three guys reach the GRC shelter location, they are met by suspicion. Sam looks upstairs, but everyone leaves as soon as they notice him. Eventually, he meets a man who clarifies that they are not refugees and that they don't trust foreigners. Even though he knows who Sam is, the guy refuses to assist him since the GRC has already promised them the same thing, but they have been waiting for 6 years. Zemo asks a girl whether she knows Donya and where her funeral is after singing a lullaby and bringing out Turkish trees for the children. After she informs him, Zemo goes on to inform the children that Sam and Bucky are unreliable and evil guys. When they return to their hiding area, Sam explains that Kali is correct to try to assist the displaced. After questioning Zemo about what the little girl told him, Bucky concludes that Kali and Zemo are identical. Although Zemo acknowledges that the funeral occurs that night, he wishes to withhold the other details for political purposes. After getting up and smashing a teacup out of frustration, Bucky asks Zemo if he wants to see what someone with actual leverage can accomplish. After stopping Bucky, Sam calls Sharon and requests a favor. Sharon complies and informs Sam that Power Broker is devastated by Nigel's passing and that they must locate the serum quickly.
No, I didn't mean it like that. You tricked.
Tell my sister where you're fighting it.
The serum is concealed in a graveyard and Kylie extracts it. She asks one of her smashers if her desire to create more of them is insane. He advises her that it is most likely the proper thing to do if she is doing something that makes her feel afraid. He sees her as another Captain America, a leader who shares their appearance, is sympathetic to their plight, and recognizes that today's heroes are incapable of maintaining a clean hand. Both of them believe that the shield is an antiquated custom that is no longer relevant. Kali desires its destruction. At last, John and Lima arrive in Riga and demand that Sam and Bucky provide answers. The idea of heading to the monument without a plan to kill Kali bothers them. John asks Bucky why he allowed his teammates to enter a room with the super soldier by themselves. Sam is not his partner and Bucky notes that he has coped with worse. Sam says this is something he has experienced with because he has coached troops with PTSD. John agrees with Lima that it's worth the shot, but he also says he'll deal with Zemo afterwards. Zemo gestures towards the young girl they will all be meeting out front. They all follow when Zemo offers her money for her family. John arrests Zemo and tells Sam that he has 10 minutes till they do things his way when he enters the burial site for the memorial. Carly talks kindly about Mama Donya, but when she sees Sam, she talks about how some people forced them into a fight and called them criminals for resisting. Sam tells Carly that he is there to chat and that he understands her frustration and powerlessness after everyone has left. She becomes at ease enough to wonder if Sam is bright or too hopeful if he believes that murdering isn't the path to a better world. John is having trouble breathing, pacing back and forth, expressing his feelings and waiting on Sam. Since it hasn't been 10 minutes yet, Bucky advises him to relax. After yelling back at Bucky for being condescending, John makes the decision to enter. John first says that Bucky is simple to deal with because he has serum in his veins, but then he adds that Bucky's partner needs him or else his blood would be in Bucky's hands. Sam sits next to Kali and informs her that a man who is well versed in super soldiers believes she is a supremacist. Sam points out that she has more serum and is murdering innocent people, but she responds that they are only obstacles that she would be happy to kill again. She considers that absurd because she is attempting to stop the companies that are the true racists. After realizing how it sounds, she backs off and explains that they are attempting to take Sam home and asks why he isn't stopping them. Sam informs her that while he supports her battle, he doesn't agree with the strategy she is using and doesn't think Mama Donya would either. Carly believes Sam set her up when John's ludicrous persona enters and says he is under arrest. John claims that Sam had plenty of time to speak before attempting to approach Carly, who just punches him out of the way and flees. After pushing Lima aside, Bucky pursues Carly but loses her in the process. But after escaping his restraints, Zemo found Carly and shot her right away. Carly spills the serum vials as she flees and hides from Zemo. John strikes him with the shield when Zemo discovers them and crashes them. John takes up one untouched vial and puts it in his pocket. Soon later, the other three males join him. Carly worries that she delayed too long to distribute the vials to others and is sad that they were destroyed. They will have to deal with the men, including Sam. Dovik says the power broker sends them a message saying that she must return the serum or perish. Carly claims that she will deal with Power Broker when the time is right, but in the meanwhile, she knows how to handle Sam amicably, split them up, then murder Captain America. Zemo asks Sam at their hiding place whether he has ever been offered the serum and what he would take if he did. Sam would not have, of course, but Zemo finds the response impressive. Zemo claims that super soldiers aren't supposed to be alive and that whatever Sam saw in Carly is gone. Sam asks Zemo whether he truly feels that way, and if so, what about Bucky? Zemo remains silent. When Bucky enters and says that something is wrong with John, something Sam is well aware of, he raises the shield once again, but John snarls the door open and orders the soldiers to give Zemo to him, ending the heated dispute. Sam doesn't want John to dictate to him. He notes that he went too far previously, costing them Carly, and that they require Zemo. John puts down the shield after asking Sam how he wants the remainder of the talk to go. But before the two may exchange hands, Dollar Milaje steps in. After telling Bucky that the allotted time has passed, Ayo instructs them to surrender Zemo to them. Ayo doesn't react when John identifies himself as Captain America, so he foolishly suggests that they put down the pointed stick so they can converse. Sam notes that before John attempts the Dora Milaje, he will want to battle Bucky. According to John, the Dora Milaje have no jurisdiction in this area. Wherever the Dora Milaje finds themselves, they have jurisdiction. According to Ayo, John responds by putting his hand on her shoulder, but she quickly removes it, leaving him on the ground. Zemo, Bucky, and Sam watch as the Dora Milaje battle John and Lima. Bucky sarcastically tells John that he looks powerful in response to Sam's suggestion that they take action, but Sam feels that this is insufficient. When Ayo is ready to puncture John, Bucky steps in and fights Ayo, while Sam assists Lima. Neither group realizes that Zemo has locked himself in the toilet and fled the room. While another Dora Milaje frees John from his grasp and skillfully kicks up the shield into her arm, Ayo practically removes Bucky's arm with a few hand gestures and lets it fall to the ground. Zemo is gone when Ayo enters the toilet, so she orders the other Dora Milaje to get off the shield, which she does.
No, I didn't mean it like that.
When Sam asks Bucky whether he realized they might harm him in that way, he acknowledges he didn't. The man checks on John, who is little upset that they defeated him even though they weren't super soldiers. When Lima and John sip coffee, Lima notes that the serum and its source are no longer there. Despite the fact that John's plan didn't pan out as expected, everything is still positive. A woman interrupts them to beg for John's autograph, and John then asks Lima whether he had the opportunity to take the serum. Lima swiftly responds that he would and that having power only enhances one's ability. Citing Steve and Carly as examples, Lima responds that John has 3 medals of honor and constantly makes the correct choice in the midst of combat when John inquires about himself. John notes that he received the medals in order to help him forget the wrongdoings that occurred in Afghanistan. He has the opportunity to accomplish something that truly feels right since he is Captain America. Lima says that if they had the serum, he could save a lot of lives, John occurs. Carly calls Sarah Wilson and tells her that she is attempting to determine whether or not to murder Sam since he deceived her and is collaborating with the new Captain America. Sarah begs Carly to think that Sam isn't working for John after pointing out that she didn't pick John to be the new Cap and that her world doesn't matter to America, so why should she care about its mascot? Carly says she hopes Sarah is correct and that she likes her. She will provide Sam Sarah's whereabouts to show Sam that she is serious as she wants to meet with Sam alone. Carly will meet Sarah and her sons to their pier if he doesn't. After receiving the message, Sam orders Sarah to gather her belongings and hide out, ensuring that she and the boys would never be harmed. When Bucky and Sam run across Carly, they are in gear and quite angry. Carly claims that since Sam isn't hiding behind a barrier, she would never harm either Sarah or Sam. It would be pointless to kill him. Instead, she wants to ask him to accompany her or to let her go. Sharon tells Sam that John is on the run and has located them after using the satellite to monitor him. Carly tries to stop the two before they leave in search of John. Armed with their weapons, John and Lima enter a building. Lima ascends the steps and surveys the area. John hears a gunshot as he whispers for Lima. Searching for him, John dashes upstairs, discovers a pistol on the landing, and then crashes into a glass door. In what seems to be a shower area, super soldiers are tying Lima up and knocking him out. One of the smashers sneaks up on John while he is exploring the dimly lit rooms and attacks him. Carly is not far behind Bucky as he runs on foot to the place. When Sam storms inside the building, he finds John fighting a super soldier named Smasher, stronger than before. However, he believed that others would kneel to him since he had been awarded a title due to his conceited and privileged thinking. Carly didn't trust Sam because of him, which led to threats against his family and the plot to assassinate John. After the altercation with Dora Milaje, I believe John realized he was making mistakes, but he believed the serum would be the solution. Regretfully, John is a product of the army of the government. I wonder whether they did anything more for him after awarding him medals because we don't know what happened to him and Lima in Afghanistan. John can't wait 10 minutes without moving about because he has visual tics. I think it's PTSD. According to Lima, the serum improves a person's identity. The conclusion doesn't surprise me. It's the visible fissures getting wider and wider. Lima was another consequence of it. Coincidentally, he didn't pay for a super serum bottle. Regretfully, he had to pay for his friend's errors. Lima made more sense. In spite of the fact that he has a lot of grief to process himself, Sam is the show's voice of reason. He has to cope with it personally, so he naturally knows what Carly and many others are going through. However, nobody is paying attention to the man who has the background and qualifications to find the appropriate answers. They ought just simply pay attention to him. After watching the video of John killing someone violently, I believe the authorities will take away John's shield and attempt to return it to Sam. But the shield has been tarnished. Sharon and Zemo remain skeptical. Neither of them should be trusted. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier's fourth episode concluded spectacularly, leaving viewers eagerly awaiting the next one. The killing of Limar, Claire Bennett, the blood on the shield, and Zemo's Daniel Bruel escape were all highlighted in the fourth episode. Through a number of characters this season, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier has been trying to prove that ideal.
You guys should see a medic.
Don't go down that road.
It's mine.
Comes with expectations, bro.
Zemo Daniel Brawl, whose family was slaughtered by the Avengers, think abilities are always corrupting. After doing the right thing and being abandoned, Sharon Emily Van Camp now thinks the hero role is a ridiculous joke. A forgotten individual who flourished during the blip, Carly Erin Kellyman, thinks her newfound abilities will balance the world's skewed balance in favor of the mighty. After being indoctrinated as a vicious assassin for decades, Bucky Sebastian Stan struggles to reconcile his crimes with the man he so badly wants to be. Finally, The season's penultimate episode returns to its main title character, Anthony Mackie's Sam Wilson. Sam has always tried to be the good person throughout the season, but he has also been a bit of reclusive character who responds to other people's actions rather than taking charge of the story. As though Sam himself didn't fully get it either, even his reason for resigning from the Captain America role has remained elusive. Although there isn't much opportunity for action or adventure in the fifth episode of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Truth, which focuses more on the character's emotional sides or points of view, I did like the opening 7 minutes of action that opened the fifth episode. In my opinion, the fifth episode serves as a necessary pause before delving further into the season finale's climatic conflict in the sixth episode. The fifth episode opens with Yat Ruzel's character, the new Captain America, escaping the crime scene and rushing into an abandoned factory to collect himself while thinking back on the murder he just committed and the death of his closest buddy Lima. "You don't want to do this," he responds when the Winter Soldier, Sebastian Stan, and Falcon, Anthony Mackie, approach him and request that he return the shield. A fierce battle ensues, and we once more witness the new captain's darker side. He uses the shield to nearly kill Falcon and smashes his wing pack. However, he finally loses the shield to Winter Soldier and Falcon, who shatters his arm and render him comatose. Due to the state police's intervention, normalcy resumes, and the Winter Soldier and Falcon reassemble in the city center. Torres, Danny Ramirez, meets with both of them and provides them with an update on the new Captain America's condition. The Winter Soldier exits without saying anything during the session, but it seems like he intends to do his business with Zemo. Shortly after, Falcon also departs, giving Torres the damaged wing pack and declaring, "You can keep it." We can question whether this marks the start of Torres' role as the new Falcon. There will undoubtedly be more Torres-focused content in the Marvel Cinematic Universe in the future, but it should be in an MCU film or in the next season of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier series. The new Captain America is shown returning to the US in the next scene. All of his titles, ranks, and perks that he would have received upon retirement have been taken away from him. After learning of his decision, the new Cap lashes out at the senator in charge and leaves the courtroom. This is followed by Olivia Walker, Gabrielle Bindlos, the new Cap's wife, consoling him. She advises him to go carefully, beginning with a sympathy call and a visit to Lima's relatives. However, Contessa Valentina Allegra de Fontaine, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, interrupts the conversation. The cameo that Marvel team had promised is Val. She definitely conveys the nasty sense. And as the whole plot develops, I suppose we'll see her more. When she finally phones Valentina Allegra de Fontaine, Val reminds him that the former Cap did the right thing by killing Nico, Noah Mills, in cold blood and further exhorts him to answer the phone. She gives the former Cap a business card, which turns out to be blank, before she leaves. Since Val come across as a major villain, it's possible that she is the power broker attempting to enlist a super soldier who feels deceived by his nation. Carly, Erin Kellyman, has been hiding in Latvia since Nico was killed by the now former Captain America. In the scenario, she and other super soldiers go to the building where the refugees were kept in episode 4, which has since been barred from aiding and abetting fugitives by the Global Repatriation Council. Carly becomes even more enraged by this and becomes much more determined to resist the government at any means. In spite of his clever escape, Zemo chooses to take one more glance at the memorial to the people of Sokovia in the next scene. The Winter Soldier confronts him, bringing a rifle to his face and even pressing the trigger. Unfortunately, the room is deserted. After a while, the Winter Soldier gives Zemo to Ayo, Florence Kasumba, and the Dollar Miraji, who return him to Wakanda, where he will spend the remainder of his life in the raft. However, the Winter Soldier requests one more favor before Ayo departs. John Walker is a man who is broken. He accepted this position in an attempt to at last act morally, but he ended up committing even more crimes. In response to the highly publicized catastrophe, he tries to defend his actions to Bucky, Sam, and himself, and then to the individuals who initially provided him with the shield. He enters a state of utter denial rather than admitting that he killed an innocent, defenseless person and made a huge mistake. He has persuaded himself that he done nothing wrong. that Sam and Bucky are not going to take away his shield and that there is still a chance for him to be Captain America.
Up again. The black man be handed the shield. What happened with Walker made me feel like I had nothing left. If it worked for him, then it worked.
Now that the decision has been made, let's start the amazing Rocky training montage. Mostly appears to be about learning how to perform gymnastics while catching the shield and avoiding being struck in the face. Since Sam really tries to be a nice man, he serves as the show's moral compass. When he fails, he makes amends and tries again, just like any decent guy. He may remove part of the blood off the shield in his capacity as the new Captain America, who is not officially recognized by the state.
I just can't. I'm okay with that, but this.
At last, Torre Dial's breakover Kali appeared in New York City, the site of the next GRC summit. She wants to prevent their vote on the Patch Act, which calls for forcible relocation and a restoration to the ancient borders. As we already know, naturally, we are unable to see what is inside the case when Sam opens it from Wakanda. Everything is in position for a decisive battle.
People have to believe in what we're rounding them up like cattle.
Hereby stripped of your title and
Following the conclusion of One World, One People, Sam reaffirmed what it meant to be Captain America in front of the whole globe. It's not about becoming a strong soldier or the ideal soldier. Being a decent person and doing what is right for everyone has always been the main goal. It was clear from the beginning that the series' goal was to make Sam's transformation from Falcon to Captain America easier. And although Sam's path was well constructed and ultimately felt fulfilling, placing so much emphasis on him could have hampered the growth of some of the other characters. The Flag Smashers continues their attack on the GRC vote where Truth left off. Sebastian Stan's character Bucky Baines arrives on the scene and calls Sam, who is arriving via plane. Emily Van Camp's character Sharon Carter arrives to assist Bucky. When Erin Kellyman's character, Carly Morgenthau, spots Sam flying in, she orders the Flag Smashers to gather the GRC's most important supporters. At the moment, Sam, dressed in his new outfit that the Wakandians gave him, flies in. He allows the GRC lawyer to get away and someone pauses to inquire about Sam's identity. "I am Captain America," Sam responds. They get the rematch that Batroc George St. Pierre desired when Sam starts telling others to flee when Batroc flies in with a kick. In order to track down suspected Flag Smashers, Bucky and Sharon parted ways.
Bucky! Au revoir. You don't think I ever fought for something bigger than myself?
Carly calls Bucky directly using a drop phone and attempts to persuade him to accompany her. Well, he tries to persuade her to stop, but none of them succeed. A Flag Smasher locks the GRC lawyer in two armored police cars as Sharon pursues him into the parking garage. Well, Sharon uses a toxic mercury vapor bomb to deal with the lone Flag Smasher. Bucky seizes a motorbike and follows the police cars. A few prisoners are taken by the Flag Smashers using a chopper. Sam ends his altercation with Batroc abruptly and flees out the window. Realizing that he is the only one who can pursue the chopper, Sam attempts to take the chopper across the river, but it turns out to be more challenging than he expected. Carly and the other members of the inner circle of Flag Smashers lay out their strategy for using the captives to thwart the vote or risk die trying. Sam follows closely after the chopper as it hovers perilously over the Hudson River. A police helicopter nearly gets struck by it and goes into a spiral. To the cheers of onlookers, Sam breaks away and rescues the police chopper's pilot, making a safe landing on a bridge. Bucky arrives and slows down Carly, and the Flag Smashers attempt to seize possession of the cars carrying the GRC console. Carly gives the orders to fire down one of the cars so they may escape. Bucky surrenders to save the people inside. John Walker, played by Art Rosell, shows up with his own improvised shield just as Carly is ready to go. In an attempt to get revenge for Hoskins' murder, Walker assaults Carly. Walker repels the flag smashers while Bucky releases the prisoners. Bucky helps out just as they are getting the better way of Walker, but he is pushed onto a construction site by one of the flag smashers.
Oh, shit.
I'm trying something different.
Hey, Sharon. We're underground.
After learning that one of the hostages on board the helicopter has piloting expertise, Sam recruits her to assist him in taking control of the aircraft. The captive takes control and rescues the others, while Sam daringly jumps aboard the helicopter and knocks the flag smasher pilot into the Hudson. John Walker defeats the flag smashers on his own and renders the majority of them helpless. After realizing this, Carly chooses to take the car along with the other captives. It teeters over the brink as she drives it into the pit where Bucky is. When John Walker notices this and Carly trying to flee, he decides to spare the lives of everyone and release Carly. The flag smashers assault him as he attempts to drag the car back to safety as they all tumble into the pit. As everyone watches, the captives start to fall with them, but Sam gets there in time to save the car with the rockets in his suit. Carly attempts to resume the altercation, but Sam intervenes and makes one more attempt to calm her down. The flag smashers attempt to flee while Batroc arrives with a couple smoke bombs. Carly and Sam are followed by Batroc and Sharon, with John and Bucky trailing after. Sam continues on one track as Bucky and John splits off to pursue another. Instead of finding her companions in the tunnels, Carly discovers Sharon. After a highly illuminating talk, it becomes clear that Sharon is actually the power broker. When Batroc discovers Sharon's identity, he interrupts her attempt to persuade Carly to rejoin her by demanding more money. Carly shoots Sharon in the hip after Sharon shoots Batroc to death. Carly is brandishing a pistol at Sharon as Sam walks in. She assaults him when he attempts to speak to her again. Carly strikes fiercely, but Sam doesn't defend himself. The other flag smasher uses the flag smasher app to follow what they think are comrades, but it turns out that Bucky and John have created a trap allowing them to be arrested. Sam is able to be held at gunpoint by Carly. Sharon murders Carly by shooting her before she can fire. In front of the GRC members and several onlookers, Sam hoists Carly's body out of the pit and lands her in his arms. Sam has other plans, but the GRC council thanks him for saving them. Sam shares Carly's and the flag smashers' concern and challenges them over their policies. He clarifies that it is their responsibility to continue working until they accomplish what is best for everyone, regardless of their difficulties. Unaware of her double identity, Sam and Bucky bid farewell to Sharon after their reunion. One of the guards accompanying the remaining flag smashers, revealing his support for them by repeating their credo, one word, one people, as they are driven away in another vehicle. Sam has other plans, but the GRC Council thanks him for saving them. After examining her newest subordinate, Valentina gives him the title of U.S. Agent John Walker is once again serving his nation. In New York, Bucky at last admits to Yori, Ken Takemoto, that he killed Yori's kid, providing them both some closure. Isaiah Bradley, Carl Lumley, ultimately warms up to Sam during his final visit. Sam promises to demonstrate something to Isaiah and his grandson Elijah Richardson. He shows them a new statue and exhibit at the Smithsonian that commemorates Isaiah's past as a super soldier. Isaiah gives Sam a handshake and draws him in for a well-earned embrace. Sam enjoys the moment and spends time with his family and Bucky in Louisiana now that the problem is ended, even though he still has a long road of work ahead of him. As the sun sets on the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Sam and Bucky enjoy their sunset together over the Gulf of Mexico. Although Sharon Carter is given a complete pardon for her past deeds and is given the opportunity to return to her former position As a CIA operative in a scene after the credits, things are not easy as they appear. Sharon agrees, departs, and offers her new resources to the highest bidder right away, resuming her role as the power broker. Captain America has returned and he is magnificent. It appears that the costume was taken straight out of Nick Spence's comic book run. Anthony Mackie was able to demonstrate exactly who his Captain America is for the entirety of this episode because Sam chose to assume the role in the previous episode. Although Sam lacks Steve Rogers' physical attributes, he is by no means a softie. Nevertheless, he and Batroc were at a standstill, and Kali would have killed him. Their hearts are what bind the two Captain Americas together. Sam and Steve were nice individuals because they had similar values and beliefs, which is why they got along so well. Sam may not have had Steve's fighting prowess, but he made up for it with bold rescues and made the most of his flying abilities. Although it wasn't stated clearly, I think he received a vibranium upgrade for his wings and maybe a vibranium weave for his armor. He once curled up behind his wings and shield, and the main rotor of a helicopter bounced straight off of it without even scratching it. Sam's character is defined in his first address to the GRC Council as Captain America. What is the point of all the pain and suffering if he doesn't get back up and keep fighting? He asks, knowing the feelings of those who regard him as Captain America. The new Captain America is worthy the mantle and will serve as a fantastic focal point for the future development of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Although Bucky was less prominent in this episode, he ultimately found closure by giving it to Yuri. Sebastian Stan has a little more variety to work with in the most recent episodes. His contacts with Ayo, Florence Kasumbra, Sam's family, and Yuri offered Bucky more emotion than has truly been seen from him previously, and this is something to build with in the future. Initially, he conducted himself with a grim but level intensity. He even made light of John Walker, who seemed a bit taken aback by his earlier portrayal. Walker got insane and psychotic in the last episode, but instead of attacking Carly, he chose to save a carload of passengers. On paper, it appears like his actions are only erratic when he is grieving. But as Bucky and Sam have both witnessed, he is capable of becoming irritable, volatile, and unstable in everyday situations. How much of it carries over into his new position as a US agent will be determined. Marvel once again did a fantastic job on Walker's new outfit. Its dark hue suggests covert operations, which appears to have been Valentina Allegra de Fontaine's goal. It will undoubtedly be fantastic to have Julia Louis-Dreyfus in the MCU since her portrayal of Valentina is a sardonic pleasure with a lot of nasty overtones. A run at the Dark Avengers, a gang of anti-heroes who cover for the Avengers, not to be confused with the Thunderbolts, a group of unabashed villains who do the exact same thing, could be in Walker and Valentina's future. However, Thunderbolt Ross, played by William Hurt, is in charge of the raft and now serves as Secretary of State. He is the leader of the Thunderbolts. Naturally, Baron Helmut Zemo, who frequently serves as the Thunderbolts commander, has also moved into the raft. Fans like Daniels Bruhl's persona, which has gained widespread popularity as a meme. Marvel needs to fill an Avengers-shaped void, whether it is with Thunderbolts or the Dark Avengers. Sharon Carter comes next. After it is revealed that Sharon is indeed the power broker, her role in the MCU will change significantly. Although this was rumored early on, I wasn't really persuaded and her final motivations were a little unclear, but doesn't necessarily matter. Her past with the MCU will provide her a greater malevolent dynamic with the MCU's heroes, even if she ends up being a villain like Sonny Barch, Walton Goggins, or Justin Hammer, Sam Rockwell. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier's character are indirectly its audience have been propelled to confront the nuanced truths of black experience and American iconography across these 6 episodes. And the conclusion is all the more rewarding because of that honest grappling. The fact that Sam will take over as Captain America was no secret. Steve began with a simple black and white perspective. He thought that America and all of her symbols were excellent. He had to embark on a quest and discover heroism in a more nuanced view of the universe in order to be worthy by the 2019 Endgame conclusion. In contrast, Sam Wilson begins with intricacy. He wrestles with America's shortcomings throughout the entire show. He must persevere in order to recover that American symbolism and discover a virtue that is worth defending. Therefore, they are no longer a corny endorsement of whitewashed history when he finally dons the stars and stripes and becomes Captain America. They represent an idealized version of America. This conclusion dispels any uncertainty over Steve Rogers' replacement. The new Cap is demonstrated for us. He is not Steve. He shouldn't be either. He is Captain America and his name is Sam Wilson. Anthony Mackie. If you liked this recap, make sure to check out the OKTV Today's YouTube channel where we have hundreds of recaps like this. If you want to see our newest episodes, make sure you subscribe and click on that bell so you'll get notification.